Responsive boosts wealth advisor productivity and decision making. Hi, I'm David Washell, CEO and founder of Responsive.
I'm Logan, VP of Research.
And we are old skateboarding buddies from Stanford. But we're here today to tell you about our next best action solution, which helps wealth advisors make better, faster decisions. We're also going to give you a peek inside our Symbiosis research studio, which helps design next best actions. We'll start at the end of the pipeline so you can understand the whole journey. This is the early morning coffee dashboard the advisor looks at when they come into work to see actions that are going to help them capture client revenue and risk. Okay, we'll come back here in the end, but let's see how data gets inside. The persona aggregation engine and API collates CRM, core banking, custodian, and beyond data for the purposes of building a highly structured wealth analytics interface. It can run on-prem or in the cloud, and as it's the backbone of our analytics, everything is anonymized, privatized, and ready for GDPR-compliant machine learning. Once the data is locked, we can start discovering. This is a Symbiosis research studio. It's designed for business intelligence power users and data scientists, but the workflows are easy to understand and straightforward. Here, you can look at the high-level behavior of your client base. You can screen factors, look at trends. For example, here you can see what the average person spends on food per week. You can also gather a list of features to look at later on in the pipeline. All right, you don't have to be a PhD like Logan to build a next best action. We'll go to Event Rules, or Builder, to show some very kitchen table factors that are super useful to wealth advisors. For example, here's liabilities, debt, to income. We can use this to impact an event that's going to be to do with suitability or risk. My own personal favorite, change in cash. Has a person had a delta in cash in the past period? So we're going to take this very simple to understand feature, and we're going to build a very bread and butter event. Okay, anytime someone gets more than $5,000 of cash, we'll call this a cash windfall, and we'll create an event that's fired off. So on the right there, you can see when this event's getting fired, how many people. Okay, let's now set it up for broadcast to our advisor base. We'll go to pipelines. This is where we make an event human readable and human understandable and useful. We'll go inside, we can configure the language for the advisors. We can determine whether it's an opportunity or a risk. We can give some information and evidence beside so they can look at a chart so they can make that decision. And finally, we can choose the broadcast mode. Obviously, we don't want to press a fresh event to our advisors right away, so we'll put it in audition mode. Okay, we can then look at the audition for our guinea pig advisor. This is how you can see for one advisor what they would be seeing if the next best action was activated. So we can test our next best actions before we ship them out. And when we're ready, we can set it to beta for a small group of users, or we can push it to the whole network. All right, I've summarized at a really basic level how the next best action pipeline works. Let's get into some of the proprietary space jazz that Logan's been working on so hard. Okay, here we can see some basic data science. Some of you are probably familiar with it, a scatter plot. We can try and find groups within this data. We'll use expectation maximization and look for some clusters. Now, this is standard, and as expected, it's not very meaningful. Too many dimensions, not really understandable. That's why Logan created the personality space. In the personality space, we can take complex time-varying information about financial behavior of our users and map it into something super interpretable. So here on the right, we can see high net worth users in yellow. And that line works the same way as our cash flow detector, except on personality. So when someone crosses that line in their behavior, like that little blue dot next to the yellow dots, it means they're starting to act like a high net worth person. So we can make the assumption now that that blue dot is a mass affluent individual who we probably want to start having a relationship with today so we can own that loyalty when they're high net worth. Okay, so we've made predictors and detectors. How is it going to impact the enterprise? Let's go take a look at the backtest. So in the backtest, we can measure the impact of a detector or a predictor on an impact performance variable. So in this very, very trivial case, we're seeing how the cash windfall detector impacts how much cash a person has on their balance sheet. It seems quite obvious that people who have experienced a cash balance of $5K or more are going to have a lot more cash than people who haven't. And you can see that here. So this tool very haptically allows you to see the impact of the predictor or detector in the in-group, the out-group, and across the base. All right, so we've created detectors. We're going to go now to the Frontline Dashboard to see what the advisor's seeing. Okay, here we can see Tyson, who's one of our developers. We'll click on this cash windfall event, and we can see that Tyson's been saving diligently since he started working at Responsive. He's a good boy. Let's go check out his profile to see the holistic view of his finances and his goals. Okay, here he is. We can see he's just starting the retirement story, and he wants to go on a vacation. We can see his cash flow balance sheet, and we can see he's seriously underinvested. This is a holistic aggregate view of his whole balance sheet. So you know what? We've got to get Tyson into some equity. Let's go back to the event, and we're going to send him an SMS message. Tyson, you should really be getting that bread. Okay, this is the full journey from data to insight to action to client connection. The final and most important piece of this journey is that everything the advisor does, they have to respond to, which gives information back to Symbiosis Studio so our features can get more prioritized and better. I'll end with a little announcement. This morning, we announced with OP Financial, Finland's largest and one of Europe's most forward-looking banks, that we're running a pilot this month based on this very demo you saw today. So if you're an innovation stakeholder or wealth stakeholder, we'd love to talk to you about how to get it done. And we're starting around opening this May. Would love to talk to you. Thanks so much. We've had a great time.